A positive relationship between the student and the teacher is difficult to establish, but can be found for both individuals. The qualities of a positive relationship can vary, but they always make the learning experience approachable and inviting for students. Positive relationships exhibit clear communication, respect in the classroom, and genuine interest in both teaching and learning. I will be focusing on the relationship between the student and teacher in the primary grades. Specifically, second grade has been found to be extremely important in the development of a positive attitude toward education. Children have different strategies for learning and achieving their goals. A few students in a classroom will grasp and learn quickly, but at the same time, there will be those who have to be repeatedly taught using different techniques. On the other hand, there are those students who fool around and use school as entertainment. Teaching can become difficult, especially if there is no proper communication. Yet, teachers, creating a positive relationship with their students, will not necessarily control all of the disruptive students. The book, Responsible Classroom Discipline, written by Vernon F. Jones and Louise Jones, discusses how to create a learning environment approachable for children in elementary schools. According to the book, student disruptions will occur frequently in classes that are poorly organized and where students are not provided with appropriate and interesting instructional tasks. Teachers need to continuously monitor the student in order for him or her to be aware of any difficulties the student is having. Understanding the child's problem, fear, or confusion will give the teacher a better understanding of the child's learning difficulties. Once the teacher becomes aware of the problems, he or she will have more patience with the student, thus making the child feel secure or less confused when learning is taking place in the classroom. The communication between the student and the teacher serves as a connection between the two, which provides a better atmosphere for a classroom environment. Of course, a teacher is not going to understand every problem for every child in his or her classroom, but will acquire enough information for those students who are struggling with specific tasks. A significant body of research indicates that academic achievement and student behavior are influenced by the quality of the teacher and student relationship. The more the teacher connects or communicates with his or her students, the more likely they will be to help students learn at a high level. The teacher needs to understand that in many schools, children come from different cultures and backgrounds. A teacher then needs to understand the value of the student's senses of belonging, which can be of greater value and build self-worth for minority students. If the teacher demonstrates an understanding of the student's culture, it will provide a better understanding between the teacher and the student. According to the David Thomas essay, The Mind of Man, children who are yelled at feel rejected and frightened because a teacher shouts at them. The example above demonstrates that the feelings the child has towards the teacher can interfere with the child's educational progress. Shouting at students should not be the solution for children who find education a difficult process. Therefore, those teachers who demonstrate respect towards their students automatically win favor by having active learners in their classroom. The arrogant or offensive teacher will lack these positive qualities due to his or her lack of control over the children. Teachers should assert that they should also be treated with respect to ensure that students treat each other with kindness. According to the Joneses, teachers are encouraged to blend their warmth and firmness towards the students in their classroom, but with realistic limits. Children who are teased or bullied by other children find themselves being victimized by their peers. Children who have become victims of this nature find learning difficult. They will be stressed out not only by trying to achieve academically, but also because the names they have been called by their classmates are demeaning and destroy self-esteem. Therefore, it is important for teachers to have children respect each other. Usually, a type of lesson involving self-esteem can be an excellent activity for children who are involved in this negative behavior. Teachers who are in a classroom every day have experienced one time or another the students who are disruptive and find learning boring. Teachers understand that if this behavior continues in the classroom, And if they do nothing to prevent this from happening, the outcome proves to be disastrous for both types of participants. The student will conclude that his or her behavior is permissible and will draw away from learning. Therefore, it is essentially important for the teacher to explain to the child the importance of learning. Mike Rose explains in Lives on the Boundary that it is what we are excited about that educates us. Rose's quote can be applied to children at an early age just as it can be applied to adults. Definitely children learn when they enjoy learning, but they also need some control over the teacher's decisions. Authoritarian control is often destructive to students who are in the primary grades, and eventually upper grade teachers have difficulty dealing with children who were taught with an authoritarian teacher. Children in primary grades feel the urge to talk about their problems, fears, or even show their knowledge, but at the same time they want to be listened to. Students feel flattered when the teacher eventually gives them the option of contributing, which is usually not offered to the students. The teacher does not have to give up all of their control. Rather, teachers share control with students and encourage interactions that are determined by mutual agreement. For teachers conducting a classroom and shaping the minds of young students, teachers who communicate effectively with their students should give appropriate and helpful feedback to their students. Interaction between the student and teacher becomes extremely important for a successful relationship. Interaction between the student and the teacher becomes extremely important for the relationship through the entire time of a school year. A close but limited relationship between the student and teacher can be helpful for those students who are shy and find speaking in front of the classroom difficult, or for children who have low self-esteem. Another important point is raised when teachers who think of themselves as traditional are following the canonical approach. The traditional teachers follow the famous list of books to be read by each of their students. Many children will not enjoy reading because they do not have the background to understand the material. They do not have any interest in the book, which makes reading confusing and difficult to understand. Students have felt what matters most was the relationship teachers established with their students, providing guidance to students who have felt inadequate or threatened. Teachers who follow the traditional curriculum do not necessarily need to focus on their traditional ideas, but rather interact with their students and find interesting topics to discuss with their students. Our first educational experience, which takes place in the primary years of our life, sets the template for our future education. Every school year, an elementary teacher deals with new faces and new ideas. Every year, an elementary teacher deals with new faces and new attitudes. Some children find themselves lacking an interest in learning, and others feel playing and fooling around at school with friends is the happiest moment of their lives. The solution to inappropriate behavior is to establish a positive relationship. Teachers can establish a positive relationship with their students by communicating with them and properly providing feedback to them. Establishing a positive relationship with students will encourage students to seek education and be enthusiastic about school. Our favorite teachers are remembered because they possessed at least one of the qualities I have discussed today.